Yeah, it's running.
Oh, we're running. All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin d'Anjou, and I'm one of the Jenkins Google Summer of Code organization admins with the Jenkins organization this year. And today is our part 2 of the project presentations by our students. We are now at the end of coding phase 2. So we are in the evaluation phase of our projects. So today we're combining 2 types of presentations. We have presentations from GSoC students, and we have a presentation from the Outreachy activity as well. So today we're going to have, in order, the following. We're going to have a presentation by Natasha Stopa on the Plugin Installation Manager CLI tool library. The second presentation will be Jenkins pipelines for OpenRISC projects. This is a LibreCore CI project, and it will be presented by Nancy Chauhan. Third presentation is an Outreachy presentation. It's about the Audit log plugin, presented by Aarthi Rajaraman. And I apologize for mispronouncing the names. And the fourth presentation is the Jenkins Hours plugin UI improvements, and our student is Jack Shen. So before I give the presentation to Natasha, I would like to say that I would like to thank all our mentors and all our students for their contributions so far. And we are having a little bit of difficulties with the broadcasting today. So in 1 hour from now, if things go wrong, we will reschedule whatever is missing. So just warning.
I hope that everything will work well. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Okay. So I think we're ready. So Natasha, please.
Yeah, one comment,
Oleg, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Oleg.
one comment before we start, that if you have any questions, yeah, we have a YouTube broadcast, but we won't be answering questions in YouTube. Instead of that, we will be answering questions in the Gator chat. So there is Jenkins CI GSoC seek Gator. If you're interested to ask any question, just join this chat, and we will pass the questions to presenters. And yeah, this is our main channel basically for every activity. So at any moment, feel free to join and ask there.
Okay.
Yeah, for Outreachy and for LibreCores CI, we have other Q&A channels, but yeah, I believe that students will present their channels in the presentation. So yeah, I think it will be covered. Okay.
All right. Anything else? Okay, I think Natasha, you can start now. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Stopa, and let me get my slides up. Okay. All right, so as I mentioned, my name is Natasha Stopa, and my project is the Plugin Installation Manager Library /CLI as part of the Jenkins Google Summer of Code. So first, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the point of this project and the benefits to the community. So one of the main benefits is better plugin tooling. So basically allowing plugins to be downloaded before an instance of Jenkins starts, being able to see additional information about those plugins, and then also having a library that can be reused across different areas of Jenkins and different ways that you can start Jenkins. And at the end of my project, the deliverable will be a CLI tool and a library that can be run independently, or the library can then be incorporated into other areas of Jenkins. So phase one mostly focused on kind of like this basic skeleton of converting the existing Jenkins Docker bash script to install plugins to Java. So we created kind of the basic functionality and released the first alpha, but a lot of the features were kind of implemented in the most basic sense. And then phase two is trying to work on refining the work that was done in phase one, adding additional features, trying to release additional alphas to get feedback from the community and get people to start using and testing it. So I would say most of the work I did in phase two can fit into a couple different buckets. So there was improving parsing. So just making that a little bit more robust. So instead of having the most basic input, trying to filter out like comments and blank lines, adding YAML support for plugin input as well. The second kind of area of things I've been working on is Docker compatibility. So in the initial phase, a lot of things were, for example, like the update centers were hard coded in. And then in this coding phase, we've added support to try to get those either through the CLI or from environment variables, and then also adding Windows compatible defaults. And then the kind of like the last big bucket is just additional features that people would actually want to use. So this includes being able to see the plugins and their dependencies before you actually download them, being able to see available updates and security warnings for your requested plugins. Okay, so next I'll just do a quick demo. Okay, so, all right. So this is basically just how you can use this with Docker. So getting closer to actually being able to incorporate the library into Docker. So this is basically the YAML format that that the tool can accept. So basically you'll have this root element plugins, and you'll define information about the plugins. So basically the plugin name, where you want to download it from. So that includes either the version or the URL. I also, it didn't make it into this demo, but have recently added support for actually a nicer format for getting the incrementals, plugins from the incrementals repository. So having an option to also enter the group ID here as well. And then just to kind of see the basic way that you can implement this in a Docker file. So you can copy over your plugin input, either from your text file or your YAML file, and then actually run your jar on that input to go ahead and download those plugins and set that up before you start your Jenkins Docker. So here's just a quick example of that. So yep, basically the tool will go and get the information about the plugins that you requested, recursively download all of the dependencies, and then ultimately put that in a directory that you can specify, or you can also use the default one that then can be used for when you're starting out your Docker instance. Okay, so this is basically just going ahead and downloading them. And so then I'll just show a quick example of kind of how that looks like, and if you when you actually go ahead and install those plugins. So now we're going ahead and running this. Okay, and then let's see. Okay, and then so we'll actually see that our plugins are installed. For this set of plugins that I chose, there were, I think, we'll see, there's a bunch of security warnings, which we'll actually talk about as well. But if we go and look at our plugins, so we can see basically the plugins that we requested and their dependencies have actually been installed before this actually starts. Okay. So then kind of the other thing that I mentioned that we've been working on are these sort of like new features. So as you saw when you just downloaded whatever plugins you specified without maybe knowing a little bit more information about them, that can, you might end up with plugins that are out of date or plugins that have security warnings that you didn't know about. So the second part of my demo is just showing basically some of these new CLI options that I've added. Okay, so this time just basically starting with a plugin.txt file, a pretty basic one, and then actually running our basically the tool with on this particular plugin file, and then listing all of the plugins and their dependencies that will be installed. So there's a couple different things that this option will show. So you can see basically all of your currently installed plugins, so plugins that are already existing in your, I guess like WAR file or your bundled plugins, and then plugins that will be downloaded. So kind of basically this set of all the dependencies and the plugins and the dependencies that you've requested, and then I guess also which ones will actually be downloaded. So given that you have some already installed, will this actually kind of change which ones will be downloaded that you've requested? So, okay, so yeah, so basically these are all the plugins and their dependencies that you'll go ahead and install. So next is for all those plugins that you've requested, are there actually available updates for those? So if you have, and this includes also the dependencies. So you've requested some plugins and you can now see which ones have available updates, and maybe you would want to change which plugins you actually install based off of that information. And then basically the last new piece is actually adding, the security information. So same thing, you can input your list of plugins, so that can either be through your TXT file or a YAML file, or actually just through the CLI directly. And then given those plugins, you can actually see security warnings for that full set of like those plugins and the dependencies that would be installed before you even install them. So just kind of an overview of what's next. Unfortunately, we're still working through some of the releases for this, but basically we want to finish cleaning up and testing all of these changes, and then release like an official version. So right now we've just been doing kind of the pre-release, so just like alphas, but we actually want to release like a full working version of this, and then actually then take that and incorporate that into the Docker image, and with the YAML file also add compatibility with Jenkins configuration as code. So this would be basically the way that would work is probably actually injecting the library before an instance of Jenkins starts, so that you're not trying to download plugins from within the configuration as code, but you can set all of that up in the same YAML file. And then continuing to add additional features. So there are a couple limitations right now that we're working through. So the first is right now we don't support downloading plugins from Maven. There's some issues where the plugin versions have to match exactly what's in the update center. So for example, if you request 1.5, but the plugin and the version in the update center is 1.50, then your plugin may not download. So something we're also aware of and working on fixing. Right now, if there's any errors, basically the tool will just throw an error and stop. This works, I think, pretty well for Docker images. Like that image won't even be created if there's an error. But in case you're running it locally, that might be a little bit more problematic. So we'd like to add some kind of support to restore the original directory, or kind of deal with leaving that directory in an inconsistent state where you might have some of the plugins downloaded, but not all of their dependencies. And then the fourth, probably a large one that we're working on is, or we'll soon to be working on, is working on the performance, basically being able to download those plugins in parallel so it goes a lot faster. We were doing some speed tests this week, and it turns out right now the library is quite a bit slower than the original bash script. So we want to get those close to being on the same level. Yeah, so I can take any questions. Feel free to join our Gator channel, and there's a link to the repository, so feel free to check it out. Like I said, we're still kind of working through some issues with some of the latest releases, but hopefully we'll get those worked out soon. All right, any questions?
Not in the Gator chat. Any questions from meeting participants?
I have one question. On the previous slide, or the slide before, you mentioned compatibility with JCask. Do you mean compatibility with JCask or integration with JCask? I think it was the slide before that.
Yeah, it technically wouldn't be a full integration. So I think, well, I guess it really depends on how you define it. But I think some of the previous problems with installing plugins from JCask is that you're trying to install a plugin from a plugin before the setup is even done. So in some ways, this would be a little bit separate from that. So basically being able to inject that, like being able to install plugins separate from JCask, so that you can kind of do it before it's that starts. Yeah, so yeah, does that clarify your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, maybe I have a question. Regarding supported formats, what formats do you plan to support in version 1.0 and maybe later? I mean, input formats for plugin lists.
Oh, this was for performance? I'm not sure. That's a good question. Honestly, I don't think we had, or I had really realized it was as slow as it was until like this week. So we hadn't really talked about it, but so yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I was asking about formats. So basically, file formats which you use as a plugin to install.
Oh, I see. That's a good question too. I think probably just the TXT and YAML file, but if people feel very strongly about that, that there's other things that they really want supported for the first version, we can probably do that.
I guess YAML and TXT is perfect for the first version. But yeah, if anybody wants to submit such feature requests, how to do that?
Yeah, we have, they can submit Jenkins, Jira tickets. Also feel free to, they can feel free to reach out to us on the Gator channel. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question from the Gator channel. This is from Justin. It says, would you be able to use an internal proxy server with the plugin installation manager like Sonatype Nexus or Artifactory?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to get back to them on that.
There's the ability to use a custom URL, so that might be what they need. But yes, I don't know if that would help with what they're looking for there.
Okay,
or they
thank
can
you, Krista.
define kind of like custom URLs if they'd like. So.
Okay, thank you. Also, good job, Natasha. It's really awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for this presentation, Natasha, and thank you for good job. Actually, this plugin has been has generated a lot of interest, so people are excited about it. Let's move on to our
thanks.
next. Okay, so yes.
Sorry for interrupt. Hello, and yeah, my connection will be unstable in an hour, and so I'm sorry about that. So can I be advanced? Maybe.
Yeah, it would have been much better if you let us know about it 20 minutes ago. But yeah, Nancy, Aarthi, are you fine with adjusting the sessions?
Nancy, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you fine with the switching session with Jack?
Yes, that's fine too.
How about you, Aarthi?
Fine with that.
Okay. Okay, so thank you. I think we're going to proceed with a presentation from Jack then. And the presentation is the working hours plugin UI improvements. Okay, so
yeah,
thanks. Go ahead, Jack.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I'm so sorry, and I'll try to be quick. So hello everyone, and this is Jack Shen from Working Hours plugin. This is the second presentation of the Working Hours plugin. In this presentation, I will show the latest improvements of what we have done on this plugin during the second code phase. My presentation will be mainly divided into 3 parts. The first would be the improvements, the overview, and the second will be the demo, and we will test some time and data judge, some time and data excluded judge in running real tasks, and the third part will be some plans and useful links, and also the question time. Okay, the first part is improvements, and I mean what we have done to improve the working hours plugin. The UI before the first release of working hours plugin had some shortage of usability, and like the time ranges and the dates inputted should be hard coded, and that will happen many questions, many problems, and also it's in the system config page, and it's really cluttered. So we need more usability improvements. This is the current UI, and it's powered by React, because React has so many UI components for us to take advantage of. Also, we add holiday presets. I mean, we can select some preset holidays, and we could omit the operation of we manually input a holiday. Also, we still keep similar style with the original Jenkins style. Okay, the second part will be the demo, and I'm gonna running some tests against some excluded rule. Okay, and I had deployed this plugin into one of my server, and here is the working hours config page, and here is the Blue Ocean UI, and this displays a test task, and we had configured it to enforce build schedule, and you will obey the working hours we set in this plugin, and we can see here is in my local time is 11:13. If I set it to Thursdays from time range from 8 to 20, and now it's outside of the time range. And if I click running now, and we can see it's blocked by the working hours, and it's showing outside the working hours. And if I widen the time range to time much later, and we just wait. If I running a new task now, sorry, that may be a little bug. We'll continue to running other tasks. Sorry. Then and we also, sorry, because we have added one excluded date, and it's excluded by the date we set. If we remove the date, you can see the task is running. So that's a mistake. And this task is running. Is also running. Yeah. Also, and for excluded days, there are 3 types of excluded days, and for the first one is static date, and that means the date is static, like we test July the 25th here, and it's automatically set to today. And we save and close. And the new task run started by us will be blocked because according to the rule just set. And if we remove this rule, it's running. The second type is holiday preset. I found Croatia's national day is exactly today, and we just take take convenience of it, and we add this holiday. If we exclude this holiday, and the new task will be blocked. And if we remove this holiday, it's running. Also, the third tab is test dynamic. Dynamic day means that a day is not on a static base, and maybe like for today is the 4th Thursday, and we need to check dynamic, and we select the 1st Thursday of July and save and close. Then the new task will also be blocked. Then if we remove the excluded dates, it's running. Yeah, if we don't set excluded dates, the new task will run directly. Okay. The third part are the other things. Like the first one is the plans for the code phase 3, and the working hours plans is to write more tests and more documents and blogs. Also, we want to support more regional holidays because the holiday library we are using is Java Day, and it doesn't support today, and some maybe Indian holidays are not present. So we want to implement that on our own. Also, we want more UI improvements. Also, the online demo is deployed at this link, and with username guest, and I can get you to the link. Oh yeah, it's already logging, and everybody can log into this plugin. Use username guest and password, literally password, and you can send into this plugin, and the plugin's URL will be on this, and you can try to use this plugin, and yeah, and we are looking forward to your feedback, and yeah, if you got any advices on this, either UI or any feature or any bugs, and we are welcome to your feedback, and you can just send it to the Gator channel, Jenkins AI working hours plugin. Also, we are collecting popular days. Yeah, because Java days process is limited, we may need more ideas. So I created forms in Google Form, and you can fill the form and to give us some advices of your of some holidays that you think is popular but not included in our presets. Presets are here, and you can check the presets, and if you think there are some holidays that not some holidays should be popular but not present, and then you can fill the form, and will be really appreciated. Will be really appreciated if you can send us this form. And some useful links I will, and just the 2 links above. Okay, and thanks for watching, and I'm going to answer some questions.
So this is more a comment than a question, but one of the things that we're planning on doing in the 3rd phase is soliciting UI feedback from the community. I think the UI is good, but it's always good to have another set of eyes on it.
Yeah, we are looking forward to your feedback.
Yeah, I had one question about UI above. Is it technically possible to break down the components you created, for example, calendar view, etc., and to offer a tag for that? So, for example, plugin developers can use your components during developing your plugin. Sorry, during developing their plugins.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. Is it
can
possible?
You repeat? Sorry.
Is it possible to use web UI components you created as a kind of library, so that we can reuse them in other plugins?
Yeah, we are trying to create we are trying to make it to a common boilerplate, and other plugins can use our boilerplate, and we will add some already settings, and that should be a goal in the third code phase.
Great.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's definitely something worth supporting. But right now, using them requires your plugin to deploy a version of React, so that the plugins have all the library stuff, and that's not available by default right now, I don't think.
I have a question as well. I'd like to know if it's possible to upload a holiday from the REST API or from some configuration file. Is that part of your?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Do you mean like have your own XML file that lists your own holidays and you upload it somehow, Martin?
Yes, something like that. Something that's a custom count.
So the library that it's using, called JollyDay, I believe has support for doing that type of stuff. So it's probably something that we could wire up, even if it's not done during GSoC. We could maybe do as a fast follow.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of configurations, is GSoC plugin supported?
I don't believe we've tested it yet, so that's a good question. We would like it to be. I mean, to be supported just, I think, means that you're not saving certain types of settings, right?
Well, it's probably a longer story than that. So
yeah.
as long as you use standard data binding mechanisms and Jenkins, like data bound constructor and whatever, it should be supported. But yeah, the devil is in details.
Yeah, that's definitely a goal. So we will look into that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Is there any more questions?
And that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, no,
okay, thank you, Jack.
Thanks
work.
for watching.
Now we all know what the national holiday for Croatia is.
Yeah.
And we can tell Jenkins to not build our jobs during network maintenance or the Croatia national holiday. Okay, let's move on to the next presentation. The next one is, okay, so the next one on the schedule is Nancy, and she's going to present her work on the Jenkins pipelines for the OpenRISC projects, and it's a LibreCores organization project. All right, Nancy?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Hi, yeah. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. This is Nancy. So I'm a Google Summer of Code student under FOSI Foundation. So I'll just share my screen. So my project name is Continuous Integration for Hardware Projects on LibreCores CI. So I'll just tell you about FOSI Foundation. It's a non-profit foundation. Its mission is to promote and assist free and open digital hardware designs. It operates as an open, inclusive, vendor-independent group. So LibreCores CI is the project which comes under FOSI Foundation, and Oleg is the core maintainer of it. It's just an approach service to provide CI to hardware projects. So currently, I've been setting up demo CI flow for OpenRISC project, and I hope so that we target more in future. And it is powered by Jenkins. So since we are working on OpenRISC project, so I'll just give a brief review about OpenRISC. Basically, it creates a free and open processor for embedded systems, and it has all set of free open source tools, libraries, operating systems, applications. So the question arises that why we are working with Jenkins. So obviously for the reasons that it's free and open source project. It's a framework, and we can do whatever we want. Like we can have a self-hosted setup. For example, remote build agents. And the features we needed for our projects were multi-branch pipeline. We needed a lot of tool management plugins, general purpose plugins like we have tab plugin, performance plugin, and for the security and shared access engines. So these are the features which are provided with Jenkins. And obviously, we have success stories in this area using Jenkins with hardware projects. Yeah, so I'll just review about the LibreCores CI infrastructure. So as we can see from the diagram, it is basically powered by Jenkins. Like all the CI is done in Jenkins. We have created a set of Docker images, which include set of EDA tools or installation of all the tool chains, and which we require for the hardware projects. Like I'd like to give you a review of a demo. So we can see that this is a repository, and it contains all the LibreCores Docker images which we use. Like this is the image which I have created recently for the OpenRISC project. So it is based on our standard LibreCores image, which install all the EDA tools like YOSIS. And this Docker file includes, it gets all the tool chains and it downloads and compile the OR1K test. Basically, it creates an environment which is required for the running of a test. Yeah. Yes. Coming back, so this was a brief introduction about the whole process. Now, coming back to the deliverables, I just focused to modify the more 1kx Travis CI flow to use the LibreCores CI Docker image because it just speeds up the process. Then we wanted to create a Jenkins file in OpenRISC project so that we can have a faster process with Jenkins. And creating CI for YOSIS synthesis. So YOSIS synthesis, it's a tool which provides the monitoring resource usages. It gives you all the printing statistics of how many wires we have, or CPU, or the resource usages we have. Then next was creating CI for OpenOCD GDB, which is used for debugging. Then extending the Jenkins file in OpenRISC projects to make YOSIS and OpenOCD a part of the build pipeline. Then we wanted to detach the reusable logic to our pipeline library of LibreCores. We wanted to add support for email notifications. Then this was the major thing which we want to achieve. We want to parse and visualize all the test reports for the OpenRISC projects. And this can be achieved using Jenkins plugins. Then there is a GSoC, which is a tool packet manager. And it will be good if we can create something to call GSoC in its Jenkins file, and the GSoC-based projects will be automatically configured. So it will save our time. Then so this is what has been achieved in phase 1. So we were able to create multiple pipelines in OpenRISC projects. So as you can see that we can create pipelines for more 1kx and or 1k Moricino project, which are the projects under OpenRISC. So I'll just give you a demo. So I just wrote a Jenkins file for all the for the more 1kx project, which basically checks out all the tests. And yes, so we have developed. So now we can. So now this is in a working stage, and we can see all the pipelines. So and the same goes for the all 1k Moricino project. So this was the achievement of phase 1. Now, after the phase 2, after the phase 1, we had to use YOSIS synthesis. So YOSIS is a framework for Verilog RTL synthesis. It was required for monitoring resource usages. Now we have a GSoC, which is a tool packet manager, and it has iStorm, which provides YOSIS synthesis in its backend. So I just had to do some modifications with its core file so that we can have iStorm in our backend, and we can generate a yosis.log for the OpenRISC projects. So we were able to successfully create yosis.log file, which has all the printing statistics of the project, like as you can see, the number of wires, number of cell processes, memory bits. Now the next step was to represent this data with the help of Jenkins plugin in a graphical way. So this is a quick start. We just need to follow these commands so that we can generate yosis.log file. Now, after that, I created a parser file, which basically fetches the important data which we require from the log file, from the huge log file. So I could get this kind of data, which is, so I can get this kind of data. Now, the work is in progress regarding, so we want to use this data which we had generated from yosis.log to we want to represent it in somewhere in this graphical method as it is seen in this sample images. So for this, we are working to use TAP plugin so that we can show our test results of the OpenRISC projects. And we want to use performance plugin that can be used for synthesis and PNR matrices. So using Jenkins simplified the method, and we can present it very well. So this is a work in progress, and I hope we will develop this till the end of the GSoC project. Then after this, we usually have a conversation on Gitter. So you can, if you have any questions, you can follow us here. We remain quite updated on mailing list. And you can check out my GitHub dashboard for the progress timelines. And also, I prefer to make blog posts explaining whatever I have done in detail. So yes. In the end, I want to thank you to my mentor Oleg. He gave me a huge support regarding Jenkins, LibreCores, CI. And Stafford Honey, he is the core maintainer of OpenRISC project. Stephen, and definitely FOSSI Foundation for helping me out. And Jenkins for giving me an opportunity to present the work. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nancy. Yeah. Are there any questions?
So no questions in the chat. Maybe somebody would like to ask a question if you're on the call.
Yeah.
Or I can probably ask a few questions if you don't mind. Yeah, just to repeat discussions we had before. So yeah, originally OpenRISC projects were running on Travis, and yeah, what is your experience about migrating definitions from Travis to Jenkins? Were there any issues you experienced, and yeah, how was it for you?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Oleg. Okay, so first, this is true, like OpenRISC project has its own Travis flow. So we wanted to migrate it to Jenkins. So as of now, I feel migrating to Jenkins was a good option because we have so many plugins, and we wanted a lot of support, like visualizing and passing the reports so that we can have a better view. With the plugin support, and we can create our own libraries. So it simplified our process. So I think we can develop more in future with Jenkins and LibreCores CI. Yes. I think this answers my question to you, Oleg.
Yeah, right. What I would like to add from the Jenkins side, yeah, while migrating, we hit some issues. For example, if you open a Jenkins file for OpenRISC, for Moric project, you may see that there is a lot of configurations which are just re-implementing a kind of multi-configuration run for matrix. So it's one of the features which is heavily requested in Jenkins community to have support of matrix configurations in declarative pipeline. I guess it would be something really helpful for this project. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. If no questions, yeah, thanks a lot, Nancy. And yeah, thanks a lot for your work. As a mentor, I can say that yeah, it's a hard project because we basically have to make contributions in multiple GitHub organizations which have completely different technology stacks. So it's OpenRISC, which is more hardware design, a lot of RTL code and Verilog, then There is LibreCores, which is rather about the Jenkins files and Docker definitions. Plus there is GSoC, which is mostly written in Python, and many other EDA tools which just have a whole zoo of different technologies. And basically Nancy in her project, she handles all of these technologies in order to build an integrated CI/CD pipeline. Well, mostly CI pipeline for now, but eventually there might be some CD bits as well. For example, hosting from LibreCores and other bits. So yeah, I think that it's a great project, and we already got a lot of improvements for LibreCores ecosystem. And yeah, I hope the project will continue so that we can offer more tools and more components for other open source hardware developers. Okay, thanks, Nancy. So Martin has to leave, I guess. So I'll probably take over the rest of the presentation, unless Marky, you want to do that, or maybe you, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we have one presentation remaining. It's a presentation.
I can take over if you need.
Okay. If my network breaks, feel free to just take it over. Okay, so the remaining presentation is for the Outreachy project. This year we have 2 students working on Outreachy. Basically, Outreachy is a periodic program where students just join projects, work on the mentorship of organizations, pretty much like GSoC, just with different focus. This is the second time we participate in this project. First time was this winter. Where we had a good progress with Audit log plugin. And this year, our Outreachy students also continue working on that. So we have Aarthi on the call, and she's one of the Outreachy students this year. So I'll let her present the project.
Hello, everyone. Hello everyone, I'm Aarthi Rajaraman. I'm also accompanied by Gayathri R in the project. And we are mentored by Matt Sicker and Jeff Thompson. And I like to say we are working on the Audit log plugin project using Apache Log4j Audit. We are developing this plugin for Jenkins. Before the demo, as this is our first call, just to set the, I would like to say the context for the call. Here are the few pointers I would say: auditing versus logging, and need to audit the events, and audit log plugin. I'll start with auditing versus logging. In a typical application, developers add logging statements to help diagnose problems or to document unexpected occurrences. And these are normally referred to as diagnostic logs. Generally, the diagnostic logs aren't helpful to determine the particular changes made by who and when it is made. On the other hand, I'll tell about the audit logs, which is focusing on the identifying when a change was made, who made it, and what the data elements were changed. And also, it helps sometimes in troubleshooting the problems though the troubleshooting is not a main purpose. That I like to say the key difference between audit logs and diagnostic logs, which is like audit logs are generally free form with the content left up to a developer, but audit logs have a specific defined schema. In many systems, audit logs are written to a database where the values are placed or written in a specific columns, and also sometimes other common destinations. In recent times, it is more common to see audit logs written to NoSQL data stores where they can efficiently be queried. I'll continue. This is the difference between auditing and logging. Next, I'll continue with need to audit the events. Say for example, in Jenkins environment, where there is item that deploys the code to the production, and some changes happen often to them. And change events are audited so that figuring the cause for the impact becomes easier in the later stages. Might be if I put up to a general example, audit logs are often used to generate reports that are of value to several reports for the organization. For example, if an auditor at a bank might be interested in locating all the accounts with more than three failed login attempts than of the prior day, or all the transfers for more than like $10,000. It helps to identify the auditor to find the audit log of those which he was searching. Now I'll come into audit log plugin. Audit log plugin helps us in auditing the defined events that are happening in the Jenkins environments. The goal of our project is to release the plugin version 1.0 by the mid of next month. So for the plugin is to audit, we need to define the events and their audit attributes. As per the Apache log4j mandates, the events are defined in a file called catalog.json. Currently, we have defined a few events. So basically, we have something happens. When something happens, the listeners are triggered to listen the event which is happened, and then the plugin logs the event audit events which are happening in the environment. I would like to share the available events for the happening in the environment. First is the user login, user logout, user password updated, API keys updated, creating user, start of a build and end of a build with information like the person were starting to build and ending to build, and the creation of a new item, copying, updating and deleting the items, creating, updating and deleting the nodes, and use of credentials from credential stores. These are the events these are the available events in the uh, Jenkins environments, and we do that by checking the fingerprint that the credential plugin creates. Also, currently we are working on the task that helps to add the events through an API. By the end of it, we will also be able to add new events from the third parties via API. Now, as we defined a lot of events and still defining them, we also have to concentrate on getting the audit events to different destinations. For now, they are logged to a rolling file. Uh, then the location of the file is configured. Otherwise, it goes in the logs folder in the Jenkins zones. And also, I would like to share that Gayathri also recently enabled the syslog destination, where the logs are sent over TCP to a different receivers. Also, she worked on bringing up a UI viewer in the Jenkins by having a rolling HTML file in the Jenkins user content. Through the JDBC appender, we also need to complete getting the logs to the appropriate database destinations. I would like to have a short demo. I'll create an item. This will make an event that is listened and audit log will be created. For our ease, I'll show you in a HTML viewer. And actually, the audit log has the plugin has already been installed in the environment. I'll start with creating a new job. Here you will be giving an item name, example like deployment. Once once it is the new job has been created, it has been, you can view the audited item of that item, which we can see it over here in the audit screen. And likewise, we can audit a lot of events happening in the environment. And we are yet to document the whole thing. and we'll do it shortly. And actually, we are proud to say that all of the code written so far is unit tested. And a JPM writing process was also initiated, but has to be continued, and draft submission has to take place. I sincerely thank my mentors, Matt Sicker and Jeff Thompson, for helping us throughout. And thanks, everyone. Is there any queries?
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about the release timelines. When do you plan to release the recent changes in the plugin?
Most likely by mid of December. Next month, sorry, August.
Oh, great, thank you. It's great to have more audit plugins in Jenkins.
Okay, could you please come again?
Yeah, I just said that it's great to have more audit functionality in Jenkins.
Yeah.
Because when you maintain a big instance, it becomes a real problem to track down who does what. And this plugin should help us a lot with that. Any other questions? Matt, would you like to add something?
I don't have anything. This is a really great job, everybody, for doing all the work they've done.
Thank you, Martin. Oh, Martin, sorry. Matt, you unmuted yourself, so probably you wanted to say something? Or maybe not.
Oh yeah, because I thought you had said my name. But yeah, that was a great presentation. And I was kind of wondering, I suppose, about the NoSQL databases you mentioned. Was there any you had in mind that might make sense, or as like a kind of like an initially supported one, like that seems to be most common for audit logging, like MongoDB or CouchDB or Elasticsearch or Cassandra or something else?
We are not.
I mean, I know it's not on the roadmap for now, but I'm kind of wondering if you've like when you were researching about audit logging, did you come across any common NoSQL databases, or is there just no real like winner there?
Actually, when I went through, I saw a few places where NoSQL data went through. From there, I got it. I got an idea about it.
Right. I'm asking, like, which types of NoSQL databases did you see? Do you remember any specific ones that came across as more common? That's my question, basically.
A few things were mentioned, like MongoDB.
Okay, thanks. That makes sense.
For me personally, it would be interesting to have access to audit log data from Logstash. So basically, whatever backend Logstash supports, MongoDB or Elasticsearch would be really helpful for this use case. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Looks not. So thanks a lot to all students for presentation. Thanks Aarthi and Nancy, Natasha and Jack. It was a great session. And if you're interested to see more recordings, we had another session yesterday. It's already published on YouTube, so you can go to Jenkins YouTube channel and find the presentations there. This session will be published immediately after we finish the broadcast. And if you have any questions after watching these presentations, just go to our GSoC Gator channel or use links provided by students. So you can reach out to them directly in the retrospective Gator channels. I believe that every project we were presenting today is in Gator. Okay, and thanks all. I'm going to stop at that broadcast unless there are any questions or follow-up words from participants. Okay, then that's it. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.